Welcome to my channel, Car Guide UK. This is where you have to get up and fix it. Please subscribe and remember to click the bell if you want more videos like this. Okay guys, so let's get cracking on with how to paint using spray cans. Right, so the first thing you need to do is preparation. Preparation is always the main key to something looking really good. I'm just going to show you a small example of how to do this and what materials you can use. You can go over with a 320 grit sandpaper if you want to. If it's on plastic, you can also use a grey scotch or a red scotch bright, which you just saw there. Go over it lightly, you don't need to go over it too hard, but you just need to key up the surface. Make sure that you don't make the plastic too furry, and then once you've done that, just go over with a small tack rag just to get rid of any of the mess. If you have panel wipe, you can do that as well. I know a lot of you probably won't have the panel wipe, so I'm just showing you here that you can just go over it with a nice tack rag if you need to as well. Just make sure that the surface is good. If there's any imperfections, they will show in your paintwork, so please make sure you get them out here. When you've shaken the can up for at least 2 minutes, you want to use a plastic grey primer or a plastic white primer, depending on what you have, and you just want to give it nice even coats, just like this. I'm just showing you the technique. I'm not going to show you the whole thing here, but I will do on the base coat. But on the primer coat, I'm just showing you here that you just need to keep about 30 centimeters away. When you're trying to get in those little gaps, the main thing to do is to do the outside. So do the edges first. Once you're happy with the edges, then move towards the center. If you are going to sort of like shoot a little bit of paint into the edges, just make sure you do that and build up slowly. You don't want to do it fast, because if you get runs in it, again, that is something that's going to show in your main base coat, and you don't want that, okay guys? Right, so now moving on to the base coat. I went here, I got this Technique stuff off eBay. It's carbon grey, so it's a really nice colour for the bottom splitter, as I am repainting my car purple. And you will need to go and get yourself some clear lacquer as well. I'm just using all these different brands. You can use U-Pole, you can use the Technique stuff, you can use whatever you want. I will leave a link in the description to the ones that I've used in this video. Here you go, here's another one as well. So this is grey plastic primer by Simmons. You know what guys, most of them are the same. If you can paint and you want to practice and do something small, here you go, I've got some panel wipe there just to show you that you can use panel wipe as well. If you want to do a wet on wet, what that is you can prime the thing, prime the bit that you're going to do, and then you can go ahead and then just leave it 10 minutes and then paint your base coat. Here I went with flattening it back down. So after you've done that, you will just need to go over it again with something fine, so like a 1500 grit sandpaper, or you could go over it with a grey Scotch Brite just to key it up again, and then you are ready to paint your base coat. As you see here, I am shaking the can a lot. So what you want to do is make sure that you're happy with how the paint's coming out, whether it's coming out nicely. You want to get a nice mist, and then you want to make sure that you're happy with how the can feels. So it's a bit weird to say, but there's a ball inside every single spray can. So what happens is that mixes the paint up. So you wouldn't go and paint your wall in your home without mixing your paint first. So you need to make sure you mix your paint up at least 2 minutes shaking before you go and apply it. Here you go. So I'm just going to show you on this the technique that I'm using. I will fast forward through some of it, but I'm just giving you the main technique of how to do it and how to build it up. So what you need to do there is you just need to stand about 30 centimeters away from where you're going to be doing it, and you just want to go around the edges first. Make sure you're keeping the 30 centimeter distance from it. You can get a little bit closer if you feel confident, but if you put it on too thick, then you will get runs. And like I said, with runs, you will ruin your work and it won't look really good. You want to make sure, if you're going to do it outside like I am, because this is DIY, do it yourself at home, we don't have a spray booth, then you want to make sure it's a nice sunny day, not cold, because if it's cold, then you will not have the paint dry and you'll spoil your lacquer as well, and your lacquer can go white and creamy, which is really not what you want. Here I'm just showing you just a technique that I use, just keeping it, and it looks like I'm getting quite close. I'm probably around about 10 centimeters away here, not 30 centimeters, but I'm quite a confident painter because I've been doing it for so long. If you do, you need to make it, when the paint goes on, you need to make sure it looks wet. You don't want it to be soaking wet, but you want it to go on wet. If it goes on dry, then the paint will dry with sort of like a texture in it, and that's not what you want. If you want a smooth finish, what you need to do is you need to make sure it goes on good coats, good even coats. You can always take your time. You could do one coat, come back to it 10-15 minutes, do another coat, and if you want to make sure it's dry, touch the thing that you're painting, not the bit that you're painting yourself, but touch around where you're painting, sorry. So say like the piece of wood here, as you can see, what you want to do is you just want to touch on the wood. If the wood is dry, the paint on the wood is dry, then you know the paint on your your item is also dry as well that you're painting. So here you go. So this is just a bottom splitter that I've got on my LDA3. I wanted to do it like a nice carbon grey. I was going to wrap it in a carbon fibre, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go with like the nice carbon grey. I like the kind of grey that it came in, but the carbon grey just sets it off because I'm going to do a few other things on the vehicle like this myself as well. Right, so once you're happy with it, have a look around it. If you want to touch any bits up, then this is the perfect opportunity of doing it. You can't stop bugs and stuff like that. I was lucky enough on a hot day like this that I didn't actually get any bugs or anything in it. If you do see them coming, just try and obviously just swat them out the way, or just wait for them to land and get off themselves. Don't try and touch the bugs if they do get in it, because if you do that, you are going to spoil your paintwork. You can always wait for it to dry, go over that area where the bug has landed, and then you can sort of like sand it down a tiny bit using say like a 1500 paper, clean it off again, use your tack rag, and then go over the bit that it's landed in, and then hope another one doesn't come. But you know what, you just got to try it. It's trial and error, guys, but this is just a video just to show you how it's done. Right, so now we're going to go on with the clear coat lacquer. Again, we want to just be quite careful with this. This is the top main coat. This is the preparation and the part I like to say that we're built up to this whole time. So what you want to do, nice fine dust coats. Make sure you get it in the areas that you want to. Start with the edges, maybe in the corners, the places that are going to build up quite quickly. Get those out the way first. Right, so keeping a nice clean coat. As you can see here, I have turned the can to the side just to try and get it into that gap. With the coats, you want to make sure you don't have any dry patches, because if you have dry patches on the clear coat, then you are going to be stuck, because that means that that part of the thing that you're painting hasn't got any paint on it. So what I'm going to do is just going to show you a little technique how to lift it up. I am supposed to be wearing gloves here, guys, but as you know, there's a glove shortage. So if you do it without any gloves, just be careful. Remember, there is stuff out there like dermatitis that you can get and things like that. So just make sure you're washing your hands constantly. As we are in a time where we are going to be wearing gloves a lot, we ain't got to really worry too much. But as you can see here, so this is a tight little corner. See that we're just blasting it in, keeping it nice and light, getting it right in the gaps. Once you've done a nice light coat, what you want to do is you want to leave it about 5 minutes if you can, and then keep going over it with a few more coats. But what I tend to do is give it a nice light coat and then give it a heavy coat. So a heavy coat is where you're putting it on quite heavy, quite thick, but you just want to be careful. You need to lift the part up that you're going to be doing. So as you can see here, if you've got the opportunity to lift it up, you want to lift it up so you can get it underneath that lip, because if you don't get it under that lip, you're going to have dry patches, and that is not what you want. Right, so we're just going to give you a nice detailed look around how it's come out. So remember guys, this is using spray cans. So as long as your preparation is good and your key is good, so when I say key, that's using 320 grit sandpaper or grey Scotch Brite, red Scotch Brite. Red Scotch Brite is a bit too rough to be using on this sort of thing. If you're not confident, I sort of recommend using the grey. You can get pads and stuff like that. You can do a 500 grit if you want to. Something that's really fine. It does dry. It's looking like it's drying a little bit patchy, but it isn't. Don't worry, guys. This is going to come out absolutely fine. I will show you that in a moment. But like I said, if you do it in a cold conditions and the conditions are not cold enough for your clear coat to go on, then what will happen is you will get cloudy patches, and that means that the lacquer has been put on too thick, too quick, and it is going to dry patchy. If you don't put it on evenly, then you'll get orange peel. So you want to make sure you do it in a way where you've covered every single area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little treat. I'm going to show you, now that this is done, a couple of other bits that are painted. And I'm also going to show you where it's going to go onto my bumper. I'm going to fast forward through a few of the bits, but I just want to show you guys where it's going to go. So this is going to be the bottom splitter, or spoiler should I say, that's going to go on there. I'm just showing you me fitting it on. It is a bit of a nightmare to do on these, but you know, with a bit of help, I managed to get it on. But I'm just going to fast forward through just to show you how it goes on here. So bear with us a moment. Right, so there you go. It's all on now, all pushed into place. Looks absolutely spot on against that purple. It looks really, really nice. It's a little bit dusty out in the air, so there's a little bit of dust got on it, but that's fine. It's not in the paint itself. This is after it's dried. We were quite lucky. If you want to go over it, you can polish it. If you want me to, I can do a little polishing video just to show you how to do that. You can do that by going over it with a 1000 grit paper and then getting some, some compound and then just blasting it. Here I did the honeycomb grill pieces that go inside that. The same technique again, using the same products. All you need to do is use a nice grey plastic primer. Plastic primer has flecks in it, so that's why you want to use a plastic primer. Once you've used the plastic primer, then I went straight over it with the carbon grey. So I gave it 10-15 minutes to dry off. Went over it with the carbon grey. I didn't key this up because getting inside those little honeycomb bits is going to be a bit of a nightmare, but that's why we used the wet on wet technique. And then once you're happy with it, you go over it with the clear coat, and then it looks like that. Absolutely spot on. So here we go. So I'm just showing you fast forward version of me pushing these in. So I'm just going to let you enjoy those for a moment. Right guys, we are now coming up to the final piece, just put that last piece in, and I don't know about you, but I think that looks absolutely fantastic. So there you go, so that is what it looks like, and that is using spray cans. So, I mean, if you're going to do a bigger item, it's going to be a lot harder to use cans to do it, but it isn't impossible. I will show you how you can do that. We are going to be painting the engine bay and stuff like that inside the vehicle at some point, so I will do a little video on that, just to show you how it's done. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think this is absolutely spot on. It's a really good technique. If you have any questions, please remember, guys, just comment down in the comment section below. I will tell you anything that you need to know. I can give you the product advice, the preparation guide, and what sort of paint is best to use. And as you can see here, it came out absolutely perfect. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.